Hello, and welcome back to a Tech Ambrosia stream. You know, the things that I do weekly on Saturdays. Every week. Except I haven't for the last 2 weeks. I'm so sorry. Well, today we are going to be looking at what I call Misfit motherboards. I'd like to turn this into a series. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'd like to. And what makes up a Misfit motherboard is it doesn't have to necessarily be a misfit, it's just something I like, that I feel like doesn't really get that much representation in the retro gaming community, maybe even the modern gaming community. You know, I like some weird tech in my life, and I think the Misfit motherboards might be a good fit for that. So, as an inaugural test drive of this format or this idea, we're going to take a look at two Misfit motherboards. Let me pull up the desktop cam so y'all can see it. So, first Misfit motherboard is this blue beauty here. This is a socket 479 Pentium-M motherboard. Yes, Pentium-M, like the mobile chipset that was supposed to go in laptops. Here it is in a desktop board. This is an Intel 855E. I think GE, I believe it does have graphics on board, which I'm sure are atrocious. However, we're going to be using my NVIDIA GeForce 6800 GS as a video card, because this is it's not AGP8X, but it is compatible with an 8X slot. It's the low voltage slot, and it runs this graphics card just fine. So what I've got in here is a 1.8 gigahertz Dothan chip. Dothan? It's, like I said, it's Pentium-M, 1.8 gigahertz, 90 nanometer. I think it's 2 megs of level 2, but you might notice on the desk here, we've got a friend, and this is I think the fastest chip this board will run. This is a 2.1 gigahertz Dothan. With 2 megs of level 2 cache for the 400 megahertz frontside bus. And that's the thing. So Pentium-M is essentially a slightly updated Pentium 3 core, but also running on the Pentium 4's system architecture. So you have the quad pumped 400 megahertz, 400 MTS bus. You've got, all that memory bandwidth going out to, in this case, DDR SD-RAM. No RAM bus here, sorry. But, you've got a Pentium 3 with 2 megs of level 2 cache instead of 256K in the Coppermine, or 512K on the original Katmai. And of course, it's a node shrink, so it goes quite a bit faster. As you may know, the original Pentium 3 with the Coppermine die shrink topped out at basically 1 gigahertz. They tried to do 1.133 at one point, and it just didn't happen in it. They needed to shrink the die one more time, and at that point, the Pentium 4 was launching. Maybe launching a little bit early, but it was launching. They did eventually shrink that die, and it came out as the Tualatin, which was a phenomenal processor, topped out about 1.4 gigahertz. And these are basically the continuation of that core. It's pretty cool, and you can see, these are quite small. That's a 92 millimeter fan that's sitting on. These are quite small because of the die shrink, but that is the characteristic, long/wide Intel core that we still see today in Alder Lake, the elongated core, because apparently that's how Intel makes CPUs. But anyway, that's Misfit motherboard number 1. Misfit motherboard number 2 is a little bit off the screen here. You can't quite see it. But it is this beauty right here. This is my beloved BioStar K8 VGA-M, and this is a socket 754 Athlon 64. And so this is the original chipset and socket that Athlon 64 launched on. Single channel memory controller, does DDR1, and in this case, it is AGP8X. This is running on the VIA K8 M800 chipset, which is quite performant, honestly. I used this board, it might look familiar, I used this board in my Windows 98 for a week videos, and it was phenomenal. Now when I used it, I had a 6600 GT in here as the primary display adapter, and we're upgrading quite a bit to the 6800 GS, which is a significantly faster card. It's not the fastest card in the NV40 range. That would be the 6800 GT with a full 16 pixel pipelines. This one's only got 12, but it's still very quick. It's very quick. So I spent all morning setting these things up and getting them ready to go so I can show them to y'all. And one other thing I do want to show you is, you may have noticed, I'm holding this pretty close to my other computer. My test benches don't usually do that. That is because we've got a new test bench. So this is a design I'm going to be launching pretty soon. It's a super ultra minimalist version of the test bench print. You print it out, it takes about a third of the material, about a third of the time, as my standard test benches that are available today. Like I said, I'm going to launch this thing pretty soon. What I need to do is make a Baby AT version of this, because this is also printable on the new Bamboo Lab A1 Mini. This is under 180 millimeters in length. Comes in at 177.9, just under 180 millimeters in length. But yeah, it should have no problem printing on smaller printers, taking significantly less time to print, and as you can see, we've got the French cleats in the back there for accessories. And mostly, this is an acknowledgement from most of the folks who have printed these out and taken pictures of them and showed me how they use them, that y'all use them in this way. You use them in the horizontal mode. So this is just, it's two screws on your power supply right here and right here, and the whole thing just lifts off the power supply. So it's super easy to just swap out boards, and you'll see that in a minute when we move to the Athlon 64. But I'm pretty excited about it. I think everybody else is going to be too. Alright, so, with all that out of the way, let's say hi to chat. Hello chat, how are you doing? Alright, we've got an active chat today. Hello, I'm so sorry I waited 2 weeks for y'all. It's good to see ya. Oh, it's Clarge on OnePlus. It's Look Who It Is! Eric's Edge, hello, welcome to the stream. Gutbomb, hello, welcome to the stream. Of course, NVIDIA, I said hello to you in the text chat earlier. Hello, welcome to the stream. Clarge on One, of course, welcome to the stream. Oh gosh, who else we have? We have Charlotte Thorne, hello, welcome to the stream. Carrie Zapsir, hello, welcome to the stream. I probably butchered your name, I'm so sorry. HC, welcome to the stream. Good to see you again. Ryzen 9 3900 XT, welcome. You were the first in the chat, actually. Welcome, congrats. Alright, so Gutbomb asks, am I the only one who uses it vertical? You're not. Let me show you. I eat my own dog food. That's a disgusting phrase, but it means I do use these. I do use these in their intended purpose, and this is why I designed them, honestly, was to do things like this. That is that is my main PC that is running this stream with a 3080 just hanging out there on one of my test benches. I absolutely use them in the vertical mode all the time. It's the whole reason I made them. Because they take up very little space. When you just need a machine somewhere, you need to do some testing, it's really handy to have, just one of these in vertical mode. And these will still go vertical. They'll still go vertical. Obviously, they're not locked into the power supply on four corners of the power supply anymore. So the power supply has a tendency to move around a bit. But if you mostly use these in the horizontal orientation, these new test benches are way easy, way nice. So what else do we have going on? NVIDIA says, even color match the test benches. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And that's actually something I want to do later in another video where I look at very early workstations. I've got a green and a green test bench for my AMD system, and then a blue test bench for the Intel system. But yeah, nice and color matched test benches here. I'm printing these in my new favorite filament, honestly. Elegoo. Elegoo sells filament, and they sell it for pretty cheap. So I've been getting the 4-packs that are, you can either get 2 black and a red and a blue, or you can get a black, white, red, and a blue. And I've been really enjoying it. It's really easy to print. Most of the time, like if I leave filament in my printer for a week or 2 or 3, and I go to try and print with it, it snaps because it gets too much water in it, and it gets brittle. This stuff doesn't. I can actually leave it in my printer, and then like when I need to go print something, just print it. I don't have to worry about like, running it in, pulling it out, snipping off the last foot or so of the filament, and then reflowing the filament. It's been really nice. So Elegoo, and it's not expensive either. Like that's the other thing is I like to buy super cheap filament because it's an expense to running a 3D printer. So I don't want to spend a ton of money on it. And it's been pretty cheap. Like 13, 14 bucks a kilogram? That's not bad. Not bad at all. Who else is here? NVIDIA says, don't forget the Tualatin. Yep, I did mention the Tualatin. For so many years, I used to pronounce it Tualatin. That's right up there with me pronouncing Mendocino as Mendocino. Yes, Carrie Zephyr says, AGP, none of that PCI Express rubbish. That's correct. We are dealing with 2 AGP boards today. And that's one of the reasons I snagged this board when I could, is that it's AGP. So this is, you might be wondering why on earth Socket 479 is in a desktop form factor. Why do you have this? This is an industrial board. This actually has 3 Ethernet ports on it. It has 3 PCI Ethernet controllers on it. 10100, of course, because it's PCI, not PCI Express. But this thing is, I think, it was either some kind of like network intrusion monitoring system or like a network attached display or something like that. You'll see when I boot it up, the BIOS message on it is quite weird. I haven't seen anything like it before. But there's a reason that Garth's sus parrot is here, because this thing is very sus. The board manufacturer for this is Contron, with a K. It is a weird board. It is a weird board. So, why don't we dig right in? I've got these things set up. I'm booting off of SD card, as per the usual. I've got an SD card for Windows XP here. I've got an SD card for DOS. Why don't we start in DOS and see what these things do in SpeedSys? I think that might be fun. The first thing I want to warn you, though, is this machine, loud. Neither of these machines is particularly quiet. This is not the age of PWM fan control. Yeah, we've got 3-pin fans here, and while these might be sending their RPM data to the motherboard's not doing anything with it. And none of these things do anything except spin the fans at maximum speed. So just FYI, we're going to turn this on in a second here, and it's probably going to be loud. Give me 1 sec. We'll switch over the camera. Ta-da! Alright. Got my little 4x3 set up here. Now, did I turn this thing off? I did not. Good. I've been spending all morning prepping these 2 machines, so we should be good to go as far as testing stuff on them. See? Constellation Vision System! I've never seen that before. I have no idea what that is. But if we boot this into DOS, I don't dare run Windows 98 on this thing because it's the last thing that this booted into was the Super Socket 7. If you remember, this is the same card that I used for the Super Socket 7 testing. So that's the last system that this Windows 98 install saw. A little bit different today. So if we run SpeedSys on this, It says loud. Yeah, exactly. It is not a quiet machine. So this is the 1.8 gigahertz. You can see it identifies itself as a Pentium 3 at 1800 megahertz. Once it finishes testing the memory here, you can see the size of the level 2 cache on this thing. Look at that! So, SpeedSys reports 32K of L1, which is correct. It should be split 32K instruction and data. We've got a meg of L2, according to SpeedSys, and then 2 megs of L3, which I think is correct? I'm not sure. The CPUs themselves, the markings from Intel indicate 2 megs, so it may be 2 megs of level 3 cache. I doubt it, but SpeedSys certainly thinks that there's a total of 3 megabytes of cache on this thing. But you can see how fast this thing is, right? Like we've got memory transfer speeds in the gigabytes per second at this point. Even going out to main memory is over 1 gigabyte a second. So it's very fast. The platform is definitely quick. Now, is the processor quick? I guess we'll find out. So I think the first thing we should probably do on here is run Quake, right? The gamma is messed up. I apologize for that. But that was the Quake dump benchmark. Did you miss it? Did you blink and miss it? 275 FPS at 320 by 200. 275. Here, I'll quit out and run it again. You can see it go by in a blink. Here we go, and start. $275 FPS. No worries on performance here. If I run the PC player benchmark, I think we're gonna get easily triple digits. Going so fast, we're getting graphical glitches. That's always a good sign. And 361 FPS. And we're starting to lose our vertical sync. Alright, so let's pop out of DOS here. So anything else we want to see? Oh, let me run just the check CPU. So check CPU identifies it as a Pentium-M. It sees it as the correct machine. 100 megahertz bus clock. That's the quad pumped Pentium 4 bus. But yeah, sees it as a Pentium 3, Model 6 stepping D, or sorry, Family 6 Model D stepping 8. Alright, so let's boot XP on this, and let's play some games. It's about to hit exit to turn the machine off. That does not work. It's not how DOS works. That is not how DOS works. Oh, have a good night, Resin. We'll see you later. Make sure I grab the right one here. This is Pentium-M. There we go, and bootin'. It is just so loud. I do have a resistor I can try and put on that fan. It doesn't ever seem to get super warm. Just like holding my finger at the exhaust, the air exhaust. I've repasted it, so I know it has fresh paste on it. I don't think it needs all this fan. I might try that actually. Anyway, we've got Windows XP. We'll fire up CPU-Z. You can see how that looks. There you go. If you want some details on the CPU, that is socket 479 Pentium-M. And as far as memory, we are running 1 gig of DDR266. So PC 2100. I don't know what this board can support in maximum performance, you know, at its best. I've left it, so it arrived to me this way, with this stick of RAM in it, and I left it there, because I wasn't totally sure it would actually boot with any other sticks of RAM. This is actually the most I've used it since I got it, so I'm really happy to get it booted up today. We can run some stuff on it and see how it goes. Let's see if I can... So I don't have a good program to look at the temperatures on the CPU. Because I don't think CPU-Z will do that. Yeah, there's no temperature sensors. Like I said, this is not good. It doesn't even get warm, let alone hot. So, let's see. Here we go. Here, you know what? I'll switch the camera. Y'all can see me struggle. I know y'all like to see me struggle, so we're going to pop off the CPU fan here and put in a resistor. So all that's left is the very noisy fan on the GeForce. And so much better. So much better. It's tranquil. Positively tranquil. There's still a fair amount of like air moving out of there, so I'm not super worried. Yeah, let's run some games. So I was working on this morning, trying to get everything set up and ready to go. Frantically installing Windows XP. If you follow me on social media, you saw me posting some stuff about Windows XP. That was me setting this up this morning. And I tried to get audio out of the sound card. You see I've got a sound card right over here. That's my Yamaha YMF744, which is great because there's drivers for it built into Windows XP. It's fantastic. It's also fantastic because it's got a real OPL3 on it. But I'm not getting any audio into or out of my capture card. I'm not sure if it's OBS that's having problems or if it's my capture card having problems. Because I've got desktop speakers hooked up to this thing through a splitter, and the desktop speakers play audio, and the capture card doesn't get any audio, so sadly there will be no game audio today. But I did try, not for lack of trying. Alright, let's get... I cannot switch my camera view using the mouse in Windows XP. Let's switch over. Ta-da! Alright. So the first thing I wanted to look at when I was running this was a silly Expendable time demo. Expendable, if you remember, is a DX6 game that was used as a benchmark for years and years and years, well into the DX7 era. You know, like this was a benchmark you could run on like an S3 Verge, and then keep running it, kept being relevant all the way up through like well into DX8 because it just stressed the GPU out so much. And it'll let you run it at any resolution. Like most games of that era, you'd have like 3 resolution options and be like 512 by 384 and 640 by 480 and maybe 800 by 600. No matter what card you put in your system, like that was hard-coded to 3 resolutions. But Expendable would run on at any resolution your graphics card reported to the operating system. So like, it kept being relevant as at least a fill rate benchmark for a long time. So I was curious what this thing would do with the Pentium-M and the GeForce 6800 GS. So this is running at 1024 by 768, 32-bit color, with anti-aliasing enabled. Now it's just a checkbox. It's just a checkbox in Expendable and setup. You don't get to tell it like 2x AA or 4x AA. It's just anti-aliasing on or off. It's on. Let's see what it does. Got my fraps in the corner there. Yeah, so it does pretty well. It does pretty well. And again, all the 3D stuff on this is super dark. I'm not totally sure why. If it's just a weird gamma issue with the 6800, but yeah, it's doing the thing. So what do we got in chat here? Gamer1990 asks, is there a way to get Windows 98 working on an AMD Athlon X64 dual core with 6 gigs of RAM? Yes. However, Windows 98 will only use one of those cores, because Windows 98 has no idea what a dual core processor is. And Windows 98 does weird things when you give it more than a half a gig of RAM. 1 gig usually works. Anything over that, Windows 98 probably won't run. If you can pull it back to like 1 or 2 gigs of memory, there are a couple of any file edits you can make to it to like allow it to utilize that much RAM and not like die horrible death. And then yes, you can get it to run quite easily. There are drivers for the 6000 series, including that 6150 integrated graphics in your Northbridge. Yes, those drivers do exist for Windows 98. And it'll actually run really nicely once you have that memory tweak done. I was running something similar for my Windows 98 for a week system, and it's a super overpowered Windows 98 machine, and it works really nicely. Yeah, so I'm reading your messages. Every time I try it freezes up on a soft hang. Yes, that is the memory issue. Pull some of that RAM out. So Windows 98, yep, NVIDIA says 6 gigs of RAM is excessive. Windows can only address 3.5 gigs. Sort of. 98 can't really. So the way Windows 98 was set up, the reason that it can't use more than like a half a gig of RAM is that there's disk cache in Windows 98. Makes sense, most operating systems have disk caches. However, Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, decided to make the disk cache default size 50% of your RAM. So when you boot it up with 2 gigs of RAM in it, you have a 1 gigabyte disk cache. And Windows cannot deal with that. It was not designed to deal with a 1 gigabyte disk cache. It's good with about 128 megs of disk cache or less, and that's about it. So what you need to do is go in, there's a couple of ini file settings that you need to edit to basically bring down the size of that disk cache down to like 128 or 256 megs. And then Windows can actually operate correctly. It doesn't hang trying to manage its disk cache. As far as how much it can actually use, the only thing you'll ever see that's going to use all that RAM in Windows 98 is going to be like a semi-modern web browser. Like if you get one of the kernel X DLLs that expands the Windows 98 kernel to use like Windows 2000 and Windows XP applications, you can get much more modern browsers running on Windows 98 than you can otherwise, and those will use a ton of RAM. Like, even in my testing on my Windows 98 for a week thing, I managed to run through all of the RAM I had in that system, which I think was 1 gig, maybe 2? And I pretty much just going to Amazon in a browser just sucked out all the RAM in that machine. That's the only thing, though. That is literally, like, I was slicing 3D models for printing, I was running music and games at the same time. Like, nothing else really used up enough RAM in that system to even justify having 2 gigs of RAM in the machine, other than web browsing. And that was like trying to browse modern websites, which you don't need to do. Like if you have like a Raspberry Pi or like an old computer or like a net top or thin client, something like that, you can set a browse service on it, and then browse service runs in like Windows 10 or Linux or whatever, and serves a web browser to your older PCs, and then you can just browse the web on whatever you want. Like literally, I browsed the web on like a Mac OS 8 machine running Netscape 3. It works fine. So yeah, you can, absolutely. You can run Windows 98 on an Athlon 64X2. No problem. well, some problems. Asterisk, some problems. I think some folks in the chat can probably point you towards the ini file edits you need to make. I think there's also some utilities over at Phil's Computer Lab on his webpage where he's got tweaks you can use to get 98 running on more modern hardware, like an Athlon 64. But I would start with pulling out some of that RAM. Get it down to 2 gigs, see how it runs with that. You might have to still do the ini file edits. But yeah. The HDA driver modded for Windows 98 and the 82.xx modded driver. You don't need those, honestly. Like, there's no good reason to have modded drivers on 98, especially if you've got an Athlon 64. Sounds like it's running on a GeForce 4, or not a GeForce 4, an NForce 4 chipset. Like, because NForce 4 has I think native drivers for Windows 98. I believe there were still, I know there was NForce 2 drivers for 98. I think there were native drivers for NForce 4. You shouldn't need any modded drivers for 98. And like, I'm running God, what am I running on this thing? 8449 or something for an NVIDIA driver, and I think you could just install that on Windows 98. It just works. Yeah, it should, because I didn't have to do any modded drivers for my 6600 GT when I did my week of Windows 98, so I don't think you need modded drivers. The other thing is, like, the modded drivers aren't necessarily better. Like, a lot of games at the late stages of 98 stopped working on Windows 98 because they expected Windows NT, they expected Windows XP or Windows 2000. But the stuff that will run on 98 doesn't need a modded driver because it's expecting a 60 or 70 series driver instead of an 80 series driver. So, like, I ran Sonic Heroes on Windows 98. You do have to you have to fake the installer. You have to use kernel X to like tell it it's installing on Windows 2000 and then install it, and then it runs natively as a Windows 98 app. But like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that still runs on 98. No modding needed. Yeah, I'm reading your stuff. I can't even get to the desktop. It takes forever. Yeah, that's that disk cache. There's too much RAM in the machine. It sounds stupid, like, how can there be too much RAM? There's too much RAM in the machine. You're talking about 1998. A typical machine running Windows 98 had 64 megabytes of RAM. Megabytes. Yeah, not gigabytes. Megabytes. 6 gigs, 6,000 megabytes is way too much RAM for Windows 98 to figure out what to do with. And it tries to make 50% of that your disk cache, so a 3 gigabyte disk cache. It can't even address that. Like, it's stuck at 2 gigs as a limit as far as per process allocation. So get some of the RAM out of that machine. Get it out. Just pull it. Awesome. NVIDIA is watching the stream on a 2 gigabytes RAM Windows 7 machine running an Athlon 64 X2. The NForce Ethernet adapter should also work. I'm pretty sure there are native drivers for the whole NForce chipset for Windows 98. I'm pretty sure. Because I know the NForce 2 had native drivers. I think there are still native drivers for Windows 98 for NForce 4. Maybe. 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 Give it a shot. Take a look around. The Vogons driver wiki is a really great place to find old drivers. Also, Phil's Computer Lab, really great place to find old drivers. All right, so ran an expendable. It went very, very quickly. We got 181 FPS in expendable. 181. At 1024 by 768 with anti-aliasing turned on. Completely nuts. Completely nuts. Alright, so I've got a bunch of other stuff on here. I've got like 3D Mark 03. Let's run 3D Mark 03. So 3D Mark 01 is one of my favorite benchmark suites for old machines, but that's actually a DX8 benchmark. And the only test in it that's DX8, well, there's two tests in it that are DX8. The environmental bump mapping test, which weirdly also Matrox cards can do because they implemented that early before it made it into the spec, and the nature test, the fourth game test in 3D Mark 01 is DX8. The rest of them are DX7 or less. But the reason I like 3D Mark 2001 is that the timing loop in it is a lot more refined than 99 or 2000, so it ends up being less of a CPU benchmark and more of an actual GPU benchmark. Although, on something like this, that's probably not the case. This is slightly faster hardware than I think 3D Mark 2001 was ever expecting to run on. But first, let's do a 3D Mark 03 on this thing and see what it does. Because I actually haven't run it yet, and I'm not sure what it's going to do. So this is a DX9 benchmark suite, which means that the first test here is DX7. Any DirectX 7 compatible card can run this benchmark. And then the next two, I believe, are DX8, and the final one is DX9, I think. I know for sure the first one is DX7, because for the longest time I had a GeForce 2 MX back in the day. I just hung on to that thing for a long time, and I could run 3D Mark 03, but only this test. Yes, Gamer1990, you should go down to 2 gigs of RAM. You should go down to less than 2, but see if it'll boot on 2. It still might be too much for Windows 98. So if you remember when 3D Mark 03 came out, like the big thing was like Doom 3, right? We had stencil shadows and like shiny surfaces and subpixel scattering and stuff. Or not subpixel scattering, but like pixel correct lighting and specular, pixel correct specular, bump mapping on all your textures. Oh. So that was all the rage. So of course, Battle of Proxicon is a Doom 3 alike, right? So we have stencil shadows, we have bump mapping on all the surfaces. We've got a very Doom 3 looking benchmark here, which doesn't run as well as Doom 3 runs, but I think honestly it looks better than Doom 3. I was never a big fan of Doom 3's graphics. But also there's a lot more characters on screen in this demo, in this benchmark, than there were in Doom 3. One of the issues with Doom 3, coming out as early as it did, is that you couldn't have that many monsters on screen because they were so expensive, right? Because every monster would cast shadows with any of the directional lights in the scene. So, and most of the lights in the scene were directional. That was kind of the big thing about Doom 3. So you'd have monsters that would teleport in, and you'd have maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 in a room, and then when you killed them, they'd dissolve because you had to get that performance back. It was really unfortunate. At least to me, when I saw it, it was just kind of like, really? I missed the monster closets of Doom 1 and Doom 2. But this is really dark. Let me turn up the brightness on my capture card here, the little capture device. Brightness. What it's gonna do though is it's gonna blow out the Windows desktop. But we can make that look correct. At least you can see what's going on. It's better than not being able to see it. The desktop's just gonna be really blown out. That's the only downside. Now, I don't know if anybody ran this back in the day on like vintage hardware at the time, but I remember running the Troll demo and like that was like 3 FPS. Like Those trolls were moving as a slideshow. And then once again we have a nature test as the last one, and this is the big DX9 send-off, right? So this is where all the goodies on your graphics card get to be tested, if your card can run them. So you've got stuff like reflective and refractive water shaders. So like the card does math on like not only the light that's reflecting off of the water, but also like light that's coming up through the water and refracting, which was pretty complicated for the time. And then of course just like a boatload of fill rate with all those leaves, because every little leaf is a little transparent texture, right? And that's all fill rate. Every blade of grass is a transparent texture, so that's all fill rate. Most of this test is fill rate, honestly, with a little bit of shader stuff in the water. $6,800 is quite warm. It's pumping out some toasty air. We get that nice shadow on the rock from the butterfly. Not actually a stencil shadow, but a nice approximation of a stencil shadow. Nvidium says, Doom 3, I ran a Voodoo 4 4500 at the time and couldn't play it. Yeah, there are a lot of angry Voodoo owners who couldn't run Doom 3. There were some modded drivers that tried to get Doom 3 to run on Voodoos, and it was bad. It was bad. It turns out no amount of Voodoo copium could allow you to suddenly magic bump mapping and stencil shadows out of your Voodoo 2. It was funny to see. It was funny to see. Although, like, I'm laughing like I could run it. I had a TNT2 at the time, and also could not run Doom 3. And of course, the home PC was the PC my parents had was a Voodoo Banshee, which also could not run Doom 3. So that's more like it. That's the frame rate I'm used to seeing the trolls run at like 4 FPS. Nvidia says, given the noise off the CPU fan, a GeForce FX would be a perfect match. Yes, if you're trying to build the loudest possible PC, that would be absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Charlotte Thorne says, I'm trying to imagine 22-bit color Voodoo 3 DX8 shaders. Would have been a fun timeline. Yup. For a long time, all we had was 16-bit color, and that was a lot of color, honestly. Like, if you started gaming in the 90s, if you started gaming in the 80s, right? Like, you had CGA and EGA with 4 and 16 colors, and then VGA was the big deal. 256 colors. 256! And then, moving from that on to, like, hardware-accelerated 16-bit color, that was a big step. That was a big step. And, like, honestly, 16-bit color isn't bad. It just, like, because you're now doing like hardware acceleration of that color rendering, right? You've got systems that are mixing colors and coming out with error because you've got a 16-bit texture and a 16-bit texture, and you add them together. They should produce a 32-bit number, but you don't have the precision for that, so you get dithering. And that's really what made 16-bit color look bad. But like, like hand curated 16-bit color, like in the later consoles. The very early consoles, very early 32-bit consoles, the Saturn, especially in 2D stuff, and the original PlayStation. Sometimes the PlayStation can dither a lot. Looked really good. Looked really good. But, nobody wanted to do that. It's a lot of colors to manage. 256 colors was a lot of colors to manage. Nobody wanted to manage 65,000 colors. Which is understandable. So what you do? What do? You just increase the error margin. 32-bit color, 24-bit color, 32-bit color, 40-bit color. If you're running a 10-bit display. 40-bit color. Alright, this is almost done. Yay! So like I said, now the desktop is super blown out because I raised the brightness for the 3D stuff, but I think it's probably fine. I don't think y'all care about the desktop experience on this. 11,000 3D marks. I don't know if that's a good score or not, but there it is. Let's take a look at the details. So we got 4.6 gigatexels per second out of the 6800. Not bad. Not bad. Alright, so how about an actual game? You might have noticed the icon on the desktop there for Aliens vs. Predator. This is like the game to run back then. If you weren't playing Crysis, it was AVP. And let me tell you, I was not playing Crysis. I was not playing Crysis back then. This was the first video game I ever played that, legitimately freaked me out. Running around as a Marine, and your motion sensor starts going off? Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's do graphics. So we're at 640 by 480. Let's do 1024 by 768. Maybe the menus don't scale up? I don't know. Oh yeah. I don't remember any of the controls. Let's start as a Marine, because I don't remember how any of this goes. I don't have any audio, which is gonna suck. NVIDIA says AVP was brutal, AVP 2 was buggy. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So it looks like our refresh rate is actually 75 Hertz. And we are locked to it with VSync. That's fun. Alright. Come on. Spacebar skips. Cool. This runs beautifully on this hardware. This was AVP and to a lesser extent AVP 2, but mostly AVP was a game I tried to play on some of my garbage hardware back in the day, and it was not good. Okay. Let's go get shot at. Oh, there we go. There's one. Ah, shoot. They're sneaky. Also, I thought I had my pulse rifle up. I do not. Give me that pulse rifle. This game is way freakier if you have the sound on. Runs alright on here. I'm extremely impressed. This game sucked to run on hardware back in the day. Oh, hello. Nope. Do you have grenades? No, G is my flashlight. That's... F is a flare, G is my flashlight. Right click is grenades. Okay, because my pulse rifle has grenades in it. Only 3. There we go. Yeah, so AVP runs great. Holy cow. 1024 by 768, 75 frames per second. VSync. I should probably figure out how to turn VSync off, but you were killed. You think? Oh yeah. Just for fun, Quake 3. So this is retail Quake 3 with the Team Arena expansion. So, oh yeah, I turned up the brightness on this. Let's turn the brightness back down so we don't blow out the monitor. There we go. Much better. Yeah, what do you see this? This is also, I'm running at 1024 by 768. Should be running at the highest settings. Quake 3. Yeah, meanie. Alright, so if we do com underscore max FPS 1, so that turns on maximum frame rate, so we're not capped. Then we'll turn on time demo 1, and then we're going to play demo 4, because this is retail Quake 3. Ready? Yeah, Charlotte Thorne says over 1,000 FPS on the menu. Yeah, She fast. She fast. If you thought Quake 1 was quick, we get more FPS in Quake 3. 297 FPS. We'll run that again, in case you blinked. Blake DMC says 1024 by 768 was the 1080p of the 90s. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Absolutely. So the thing is, right, like LCDs existed back then, you know, in this time period, but they were expensive, or they sucked a lot, like they were really slow, and you didn't want to play games on them. So a lot of people just played on their CRTs, they just kept their CRTs. And the thing about a CRT is, when you lower the resolution, it doesn't get less sharp, you know? Like, you lose clarity, you lose detail, because there's fewer pixels there, but the pixels stay sharp. So, like, running at 640 by 480 or 800 by 600, it wasn't really a bad thing, because it was still sharp, and when you ran at a lower resolution, your display ran at a higher refresh rate, so you could get 75, 85, 100, 100 hertz, 100 FPS, and CRTs were great. CRTs were fantastic. I super miss my CRT. Oh, I wish I could go get it back, but now, of course, like, everyone's figured out that CRTs are amazing, and CRTs are so expensive now. So let's play create a server. Let's play a little Quake 3. Oh, it's been a long time. 323. Let's throw a couple bots in here. Sure. This is supposed to be a one-on-one map, but we'll do a couple of bots in here. Orb's always fun. Not zero. Zero cheats. Be real. Yeah. This mouse is really slow. We'll see how this goes. Probably not great. That's my guess. Why am I getting 1 frame per second? Game, what are you doing? Oh, what the heck? Why is it 1 FPS? Oh, you know what? It's because I have my max FPS on. Oh, what is the... There we go. Max FPS 1. That was my mistake. I put it to 1 instead of 0. I'm good. I'm good. I'm a fantastic Quake 3 player. This is a lie. The lie detector determined that this is a lie. Oh! I got it, but I died. I didn't think I was going to make that jump. Oh, I had lost the opportunity for just a kebab. That was been so good. Ha! And this is playing through my capture card. This is not bad. Give me that rocket launcher. It's tempting to stay up here and just get kills, but I gotta go find some health. Nope. That's dead me. It's the worst way to use the railgun is strafing left and right. Good luck. It's a dumb idea. I'm going to catch these people on the ramps because they won't be moving back and forth left and right. Oh, I'm out of ammo. Give me more ammo. Like that. Use it on the ramp. I'll take some armor. I'm sure this is riveting, watching me play Quake 3 against a bunch of easy level moths or whatever. Gotcha. Alright, I do also have the demo for UT2K3 on here, so we can run a little bit of that. That's a little bit more resource demanding. Ah, good times. Good times. That was a bad idea. Soaked up all my health. There's not a lot of help in this map. I knew you didn't have a lot left. Alright, anyway. Oh, I have 2 frags to go. Let's do it. 2 frags to go. Let's finish this game. There we go. Bingo. Alright, well, we've got an entire Athlon 64 to look at. So, where are we at? We're at 1 hour into the stream. I think it's probably a good time to switch over to the Athlon 64. Serious M. This was the game. Serious M, first encounter. This was the game that I played instead of Doom 3. That was so much fun. So much fun. Alright, so turn that off. Let's switch over to the desktop camera. Ah, so much quieter. My tiny keyboard and my classic Microsoft mouse. All right, so like this, I'm pretty proud of this setup. So let's unplug everything first of all. Get the power. I have my power buttons plugged in here because this board, if you can see here, you see where it's plugged in. Like this is like a big ribbon cable for the front panel connector. It's like, again, it's an industrial board. It was not meant to be used as a desktop PC. I can only imagine what other things are actually like pinned out there. Like you'd have power LED, power button, reset switch, you know, hard drive activity light, and then like there's twice as many pins as you need for that on that connector. So what else is in there? Alright, so sound card is out. Just store that there for the time being, and graphics card out. I'll just flip power off on that for now. Oh, and IDE. So there's primary IDE. Worst part about having so much hair is that the hair gets everywhere. Okay, so like, all I have to do with this new design is literally 1 screw, just loosen it, 2 screw, loosen it, ta-da! That's it. This design idea came to me while I was in the throes of the migraine that I had last weekend. I was like, I can use the power supply as a stressed member of the test bench. I can totally do this. I want to show you. So like most of the features of the test bench are still there. So like here's one that's blank, doesn't have anything installed in it. But like put it down on the power supply. And you've still got the big hole that lets you, you know, cool the backside of your motherboard. The handle is still there. Of course, the rear rail for with the French cleats and stuff, still there. Piece of cake. I like it. All right, so Athlon 64. Plop. And just tighten the screws. And we are in business. So this one is primary IDE here. Plug in the graphics card. plug in the sound card, which goes way over there. There we go. Plug in mouse and keyboard. VGA. I'm like, I know I'm forgetting something. Yeah, the VGA. Plug in the VGA that's right over there. There we go. This board is a little bit newer. So we've got an ATX connector, and then we've also got ATX 12 volt. There we go. That's it and my button. Because if I if I take the button out of this, I'm going to totally forget where it is. You can see like that header is ridiculous. It's just a bunch of pins. It's like a floppy disk header. That's for the front panel. I have a manual for the board somewhere, but like again, it's an industrial board. The manual's not amazing. Let's get the right SD card in here so we're booting the right OS. We'll start up in DOS. Let's see how it looks. So this is an Athlon 64 3200. It is a 2.2 gigahertz with a half a meg of L2 cache. L2, just the L1 and the L2 on this one. Yeah, this is the K8 core, debuted in the original Opteron, and of course this, the first x86 64 processor. Yeah, AMD invented it, not Intel. Intel's 64-bit processor was going to be Itanium. We all know how that went. Alright, so let's power this. Let's turn on the power supply and power this on. I need to put that resistor on this one as well. Because holy cow. Let's switch over to the capture card. Oh yeah, no, the BIOS battery's dying on this one. Great. Let's go into setup, because I know the defaults on this BIOS aren't actually bootable. So let's turn off the floppy drive, otherwise it's going to wait for forever to find a floppy drive that's not there. Boot priority, yes. Floppy, no. There you go, we've got a boot priority in the BIOS for an LS120, or a zip drive. Oh yeah. Boot up floppy seek off. Go away, thank you. Trying to think if there's anything else we need to set up for this to boot. Block mode, that's right. It's a VIA chipset, gotta turn off the block mode. This always fails. Always. Always. Without fail, it fails. Alright, and we'll save and exit. And that should give us a boot. Ian Scott says, hold up, new test bench design, yep. New test bench. This little test bench is going to get released on, actually on Bamboo Lab Maker World, as well as everywhere else. So Printables, Thingiverse, Maker World. Once I finish it off, I need to make a baby AT version of it so that you can, plug in your baby AT motherboards. But that's in progress. This one's cool. You can print it. You can print it in this orientation, like you would the other test benches. You can also print it in this orientation. There's one little thing here. I don't know if you can see it, but that little guy. I'm holding these the wrong way. this is a cool feature. Let's see if I can get these held the correct way. Okay, so you have 2 test benches. Now they interlock, so you can store these close to one another, and they don't take up a boatload of space. It's not quite a motherboard storage system, but like it's a little more convenient than the original test benches for like storing the things, because the old ones are just so huge compared to these. Alright, anyway, we're in DOS. Let's run DOS bench and speed sys. What does speed sys say? I'm going to quiet this fan down. Shush. So you can hear most of that is the G-force. Alright, CPU fan is quieted. Look at that benchmark! We're up in the stratosphere. There's nothing that can touch us. It's kind of annoying because like the Pentium-M like was just a little bit faster than an Athlon 2000. Like, well, where's the Athlon 2000 here? All we see is like there's an Athlon 1400 way over there. Where's the Athlon 2000? But you can see we've got a CPU that identifies it as AMD K8, 2200 megahertz. We've got MMX and 3D Now. I think this also has SSE. And you can see the the level 1 cache, very fast on this. Level 2 cache, not so fast. Also not so big. We've got a fair amount of level 1 cache, but the level 2 cache, half a megabyte. No 2 bags of level 2 cache here. Ian Scott says, "Sweet, I gotta have that baby AT." I'm working on it. You know what? I might, if I'm feeling okay tomorrow, I might join Dave's stream and work on the baby AT version of this on stream. I've been meaning to do it. I just haven't had time. I'm also trying to get a video edited because I have part 2 of Cheap Ryzen like all recorded and ready to go. I just need to edit it. I just need the time to just sit down and edit it. Okay, so we've got... So this is running 2 gigs of RAM. And I think this is the configuration I ran in Windows 98. Because I did the ini file edits to it. As well as kernel X. Both highly recommended upgrades for Windows 98. Yeah, 128 megs of 128K of level 1 cache. I believe that is split 64 and 64, I think. It looks like it on the graph at least. We stop at 64K. And we've got a half meg of level 2. So let's see what it does in Quake. So we have like what, 257 FPS on the Pentium? What do we think this is gonna do? Over under on the Athlon 64. We have less cache, but more clocks. $287. Athlon fast. Athlon fast. I'll run that again in case you blinked. $287. Oh, that's ridiculous. Okay, and let's see, PC player. This was like what, 316 or something on the Pentium-M. Oh. Ryzen 9 says, "I bet the temps are nice." And yeah, like, we would have been so lucky back then to have just a little 2 heat pipe tower cooler. 377. 377 FPS. Nice. Let's see what Check CPU says this is. Check CPU says it is. It knows it's an Athlon 64. CG revision. Nice. Bus clock 200 megahertz. Family. Family F. Pentium-4 or Athlon 64. Family F, Model C, stepping 0. I like this machine. I'm a big fan of socket 754. It's a cool socket. There's nothing special about it. Like objectively, it's lower performance than 939, but I like it. I like the underdogs. I'm gonna have to turn this off. I don't have my button. Ha! I got it. Alright, so let's boot up some Windows XP. 754, Athlon 64. There we go. It's a BioStar board that's good. I have a few BioStar boards that are good. It's unfortunate what's happened to them in recent years. So in an attempt to get audio out of this thing, I tried moving my audio plug from one so my YMF 754 is a quad audio card. It's got 2 audio out jacks that are independently addressable. So I tried moving my audio plug from one output to the other. And apparently I wiggled it enough that it froze the user interface for Windows XP. I could still highlight icons, and if I right-clicked, I got the desktop menu, but I couldn't see a cursor. And if I tried to select anything on the desktop, it just froze. So that's why we're at the Start Windows Normally prompt. It was fun. It was an adventurous morning this morning. Many, many hours attempting to get this thing to work correctly. And there we go. This is just Windows XP booting off of an SD card. Nothing special. Oh no, searching for drivers. Because the BIOS is different, so now it thinks everything is different. No. Just skip it. Oh, it's because I didn't turn the SATA controller into normal ID instead of RAID mode. Whatever. Alright, so the thing I know everybody wants to see. Oh, blast it. Reboot for drivers. It's because I didn't turn off the SATA controller. Blake DMC says AMD FX CPUs were terrible for anything newer than Windows XP. It's unfortunate then that they launched in 2011 when your best option was Windows 7. FX CPUs are... I don't particularly love them. Especially since, like AMD had been through this already, right? Like, this machine right here, this Athlon 64, was like, it competed directly against the Pentium-4, and it was kicking the Pentium-4's ass. Because it's a faster architecture, it's lower latency, it's got better IPC, it uses less power, generates less heat. It was a premier architecture. And then the tables turn, and Intel's got the Core 2, and then Nehalem, and Westmere, and AMD decides, you know what we should do? Let's lengthen our pipelines and go for high clock speed, just like the Pentium-4. That we totally outcompeted by being scrappy and low latency and better IPC. Idiots. Just idiots. No, don't install drivers. I should have turned that stupid thing off. Go away. Okay. I just don't understand. I just don't understand why AMD lived through the Pentium 4 and then decided that the right idea was to remake the Pentium 4 but multiple cores. Because, like, as far as IPC, the FX was no better than Nehalem. And then it never improved. They did 4 revisions on the core and it never got faster. Just what a worthless processor. They paid the price for it. They just about bankrupted them. They got so strapped for cash at one point that they sold their office. They owned their office building, right? For AMD's headquarters. They sold their office building and then rented it back from the company they sold it to. That's how much they needed cash. Like, that is desperation. And it's all because of that stupid CPU. I'm so glad they made Ryzen. Oh my god. Can you imagine if Intel still had no competition? Like, we would have never seen Alder Lake. It would have gone to the server market, we never would have seen it. Okay, COM max FPS 0. Do this correctly this time. And we want time demo 1 and demo 4. Oh, you know what? I did the same thing here. I changed the brightness. Let's get it back down out of the stratosphere. And did this? Yeah, did it again. Let's turn up the graphics quality. There we go. Let's try this again. Max FPS 0. Time demo 1 and demo 4. That was fast. That was fast. 295 FPS. Is that, I think it's technically slower than the Pentium? Was it 297? I forget. Let's run it a second time, see what it does. 295 FPS. 297! There we go. I think we might actually be GPU limited on both of these, which is a funny thing to say when you're looking at 300 FPS. Oh, unbelievable. Oh yeah, let's run a CPU-Z so y'all can see this. Apologies for the blown out desktop, but there we go. Athlon 64 Newcastle. So this is 130 nanometer. 2.2 gigahertz. So the Pentium 3, or the Pentium-M, was 90 nanometer. This one's 130. So uses more power, needs more volts. The other one's 1.3 volts, this is 1.5. We've got same instruction sets, well, other than, being 64-bit instead of 32-bit. We've got SSE and we've got SSE 2. And also 3D Now Plus, which nothing uses, but it's doing well. Let's run Expendable on it. Do I have this? I'm going to double check that I have this set correctly, because I don't remember if I set the settings. Yep, nope, I don't have it set correctly. 1024 by 768, so we've got hardware compression, low resolution movies don't matter, that's set by default. Hardware anti-aliasing and stencil buffering. So, and this is how you get Expendable to benchmark itself. You add the minus time demo argument to it. I don't. So Blake DMC asks, I'd like to see you do an AMD FX 8350 Windows XP CPU special because I plan to do it myself. So I don't actually have an 8350. I do have an FX system, specifically for testing FX. I use it for memes mostly, but I do have an FX system. I have it in close reach because I used it for the Baldur's Gate on low-end hardware stream. But this is my FX system. This is AMD 970, I think, motherboard, and I'm running an FX 6300 in here, which in most testing, 6300 is exactly the same speed as the 8350, mostly. Again, like stuff in the XP era isn't gonna really make use of the eight cores on an 8350. And since the clock speeds are basically the same, these are basically identical in terms of gaming performance. And the six core versions you can usually overclock a little bit better than the 8350s. If you're not going for like XOC on like a 9590. 9550? 9590. 5950? No, 9590. The ridiculous one. The ridiculous 8-core resonant mesh 5 gigahertz monster that AMD released that uses like 200 watts of power or whatever. You can almost get it to perform as fast as Sandy Bridge. Blake DMCS says, I received an FX 9590 for free, which I'm glad I didn't pay anything for. Yeah, they're a lot. They're a lot. Everything's Broken Garage. Hello, welcome to the stream. You joined in the second half. We are taking a look at socket 754 Athlon 64. Right here, this lovely little beastie. This is a BioStar K8 VGA-M. This was the same motherboard and CPU and RAM that I used for my Windows 98 for a week videos. So this was my main machine for a while. For a week, literally. Other than work. Gotta do work over there on the work laptop because that's where the work happens. But like all of my recreational computing was done on this machine with my GeForce 6600 GT for a week. And it was, honestly, not a bad time. I like this machine. Which is why it's here in Misfit Motherboards, because I think socket 754 is pretty neat. It's not like it's super uncommon. Like, the first board we took a look at was this socket 479 industrial motherboard, which is Pentium-M, which is a little bit rare, not something you normally see, but also really cool socket motherboard and platform, I think. Finally giving the Pentium-3 its due by putting it on a modern platform, seeing what it can do. Letting it stretch its legs. It's nice. I like the Pentium-3. It's one of my favorite processors. But we are now in Windows XP on the Athlon 64. We can run some 3D Mark on it, see what it does. The Pentium-3 gave us 11,000 3D Marks, I believe, in 3D Mark 03. So we can see what the Athlon 64 gets us. And of course this is XP32, so we're not using any of the 32-bit goodies on the Athlon 64, unfortunately. One of the things that the 64-bit rewrite or re-architecture provided was double the register space, which was really important. Not just like from 32 bits to 64 bits, but from 8 registers to 16 registers, which, you know, x86 was in desperate need of back then. There was speculation that x86 couldn't scale further without some kind of architectural change, and it's just wild to me that it was AMD that did it. Like, they re-architected x86 to bring it into the modern era, and like that's what we're running now. All of us, you know, that aren't running ARM are running x86 64 that AMD made. It's freaking awesome. Everything's broken grass. Ooh, I had a Tyan motherboard paired with a 3800 Plus with SLI'd 8800 GTXs. Oh yeah, good stuff. Today we are rocking an AGP GeForce 6800 GS. I believe it's a 128 meg, 256 megs VRAM. It's nice. It's a nice GPU. I'm a big fan of it. It's one of my favorite GPUs. Tyan Tomcat, nice. Nice. On AM2. AM2 is a weird platform. It was such a weird platform. That was one of the ones that passed me by. So I ran an Athlon on socket A for a long time. I had an Athlon XP-M that I overclocked to 2.4 gigahertz, and I just ran that until I basically couldn't run it anymore. Like, I couldn't get it to run Vista because I didn't have enough RAM. So once like XP games, or once games stopped running on XP, I was like, well, I guess I gotta get a new computer. And I skipped 754 and I went to 939. And then that machine was in the middle of the capacitor plague, and it died like 3 months after I built it. Like, I had 90-day warranties on all my stuff, and it died like a week out of warranty. I was so mad. But at the time, like, I had like nothing for work, so I couldn't rebuild it. All of it was out of warranty, couldn't replace it, didn't have the money to, so I ended up getting a $20 office PC from the local university surplus. And that was my machine for a long time. I ran a Pentium-M in like a think center. It was bad. Oh. Ah, nice. An EVGA GeForce 7600 GT superclocked. That was what I ran with my 939. I got a 7600 GT because my Athlon, my socket A Athlon, I ran a 6600 GT for the longest time, and I loved it. I loved it, and like the 8000 series came out, was really expensive, so I picked up a 7600. I'm like, yeah, I'll just get the next step up. Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad time. RMAing so many motherboards in 2005 to 2008. Yeah, it was a bad time. It was a bad time. Oh. Blake DMC says, I have an Athlon 64X2 6400 from a broken AM2 motherboard from a 2007 Gateway PC. Might use the case for a planned micro ATX sleeper build. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. You throw like a 13th or 14th gen in there, or like a Ryzen 7000 into like a 2007 nothing case from from Gateway. That'd be great. Never see it coming. So I saw this run a couple of these benchmarks, peaking out at 75 FPS, and I'm worried that VSync is turned on again. It's notorious. These older machines, like, trying to get VSync turned off for benchmarking was just next to impossible. Hopefully it doesn't screw up our scores, but it's here it's fine. 130 FPS staring at some water, it's fine. Garth is saying that audio on that benchmark is like blargle 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 blargle. What do you... I've got nothing. My levels are nothing on the capture card. I'm not getting any audio out of anything. Basically, it's just fan noise. Like there's the 6800 GS is making some noise, and then like I've got the fan on the CPU is quieted down. But as far as the capture card, I'm getting nothing out of my levels on it. Are you hearing any audio on that, or is like my microphone starting to fuzz? Because it might be due for a battery change. Wait, so you had audio on the Quake 3 benchmark? What the heck? Oh, gotcha. Yes, right. Running the Quake 3 benchmark on a fast system is always like. I hear ya. I hear ya. I know what you're talking about now. I'm like, what? How are you getting audio when I don't see any audio on my levels? A reverse sleeper. See, what I think would be fun. What I think would be fun is if you take like one of the mini ITX, anything, like maybe one of the new like Ryzen 7000 mobile chips that are like Zen 3 Plus, and have like the RDNA 2 graphics built in, and you take that and you put it in like a Lian Li O11, right? A giant O11. Except then you also put in a plate mirror across the diagonal, so the case looks like it's empty. It just looks like an empty box. So you put that on your desk. There's your computer. You just plug your cables into nothing, and you're like, yeah, no, it's fine. I have like 8 cores. It runs games fine. My empty box of air is great. What do you mean? Blake DMC says at least the 6800 GS is way quieter than the infamous FX 5800. Yes. Boy, did the FX put some egg on Nvidia's face. Holy cow. They bet on ATI not being able to deliver with DirectX 9, and they took their four pipeline GeForce 4 architecture, and they kind of like shoehorned DX9 capabilities onto it and then pumped up the clock speed. And it was bad. It was bad. Whereas ATI was like, let's not. We released the 8500, it's fine. We'll release some die shrunk, value versions of the chip, but like, let's concentrate on making the DX9 chip decent. And so they come out with the 8 pipe, R300, and it just stomps all over Nvidia. Boy, was that a bad look. Boy, was that a bad look for Nvidia. And I remember back in the day, like the GeForce 3 came out, and it was basically no faster than the GeForce 2. It just added on DirectX 8 stuff. Like, it sounds a lot like ray tracing, right? It sounds a lot like the 20 series. It's no faster than the previous generation, just adds on some additional effects that none of the games can use. And then, of course, the GeForce 4 finally comes out, and it's finally faster than the GeForce 2 and the GeForce 3. But it's so expensive, I know I was never able to afford it. I stuck with my GeForce 2 MX for forever. And then, the whole GeForce FX fiasco happened, and no. Now that I think about it, actually, I forgot, I pushed this out of my mind. That's why I forgot about this. I pushed it out of my mind. I had a GeForce FX 5200, Yes, I owned one. That was my successor. My successor to my GeForce, my beloved GeForce 2 MX, was a GeForce FX 5200. As I think for a lot of people, like most people's introduction to the GeForce FX series was the 5200. Like it had a fairly decent feature set. It was about as fast as the MX, which was still plenty fast if you're gaming at lower resolutions. Like I said, if you're on a CRT, you could just lower the resolution and not lose any sharpness. You lost clarity, but not sharpness. You know, that's what I did. I just ran a 5200 for a while and played at 640 by 480 or 800 by 600, and it was fine. Because it was cheap. The 5200s were cheap. Because, good lord, the rest of the lineup sure wasn't cheap, and they didn't seem to go any faster. You know, not until you got into the 5800 or 5900 series did it actually, like, be fast. But the power requirements and the noise and the cost, it just 5000 series was mostly a waited out generation, and that's why I had the 5200, and then I waited out until I got my 6600 GT, which is just, gosh, what a great GPU. 6600 GT was so good. Oh, I love that thing. So we got plus 100 3D marks on the Athlon versus the Pentium-M, which is interesting because that's the Pentium-M at 1.8, and I do still have this Pentium-M 2.1, which we can still try. 15 to 20% clock speed difference. Maybe it makes up the difference here. Mostly the same. What was the CPU test? 94 and 14. I did not keep track of what the Pentium-M gave us in the CPU test, which would have been, you know, the part that mattered, comparing these two CPUs. The AGP 8X doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot here versus the 4X, which was known at the time. So what do you say we upgrade that Pentium-M? Yeah, no kidding. Blake DMC, GeForce 4 I wish I could have. Yeah, no kidding. I do have one now, but it's broken. I've been looking for a cooler for it, because I have a GeForce 4 Ti 4200, because I'm not buying a 4600, I'm sorry. But I do finally have a GeForce 4. I just need a cooler for it. It has no cooler on it. I would love a cooler for that. I want to get one of the swoopy, like, weird bean-shaped coolers for it that I think the 4600s had. Like, the 4200s supposed to have just like a Northbridge cooler on it. Some awful 30mm fan or something. I want one of those slick, like, bean-shaped coolers. So I've been looking around for it, but it's coming up empty-handed. Most of the time, if you've got a functional cooler on a GeForce 4, you probably have a functional GeForce 4, so nobody's selling the coolers for those. Gutbomb says, I've been trying to figure out how I can get a 386 in an NZXT case with RGB everything. The way you do that is you could buy a hand 386, put it in the case, and use an STM32 or an ESP32 for an RGB controller. Done. Blake DMC says, GeForce FX 5200 would make a good Windows 98 GPU. It really does, honestly. They're not bad for that. Like, they're bad GPUs, objectively. Like, they're just bad GPUs. But if you're looking for something from Windows 98, they're actually really decent. They're very compatible. They've got a good VGA core, so when you're doing DOS gaming, like, they work pretty well. And yeah, obviously they run all the way up to DX9. which is the most you can get out of Windows 98 anyway, and most of the games you're going to run on Windows 98 are going to be DX8 games, so yeah. FX 5200 makes a great Windows 98 GPU. And I think they're still cheap. I think you can still get them on eBay for cheap. I think. Fingers crossed. I think you can still get them for cheap. There's not a lot of retro PC hardware left that you can get for cheap anymore. But I think the FX 5200, because there were so many of them, because like, I think that's the GPU that everybody bought in the 5000 series. Nobody got anything but a 5200, I think. So there's thousands of them out there. Millions of cards. Just take your pick, there's plenty. Yeah, sorry about the brightness on the desktop. We've got it adjusted for 3D gamma. So like if I run anything, let me hop into the games folder here. I've got a few things in here. Okay, I don't have a few things in here. We can install UT2K3. How about that? Wait, that's UT3. That's not UT2K3. I mean, this'll work, but it'll be bad. I thought I had UT2K3 on here. This is UT3. This demo is time locked. So I need to figure out what date I need to set my computer's clock to for this demo to work. What is it? What date do I need to set? Unreal. Tournament 3. Time lock demo. Date. (2007). Demo is unlocked and released on File Planet. Oh, who remembers File Planet? On Friday, October 12th, 2007. And Unreal Tournament 3 is apparently a timed PS3 exclusive. I forgot about that. Wow, okay. So that didn't last. Alright. Yeah, sorry about the brightness. Sorry about the brightness. Hang on, we'll get into a game, it'll make sense. I suppose I can just adjust it while we're here in Windows. Just make it a little bit less bad for folks. Nope, nope, nope. There we go. Brightness. Pull that down to 25 or so. There we go. Look at that. That's the Windows 98 you know and love. There you go. Pickle found a GeForce FX 5500 for 20 bucks. Yeah. That is basically an FX 5200 with a different name. As far as I can tell, anything under like the FX 5700, basically the same card. Just all basically the same. Like the 5200 Ultra is basically the fastest version of the 5200, and like that got rebadged into the 5500, I think. But then the PCI version had the RAM speed cut back or something. I don't remember. Nathan over at Pixel Pipes did a huge, I think, if I'm remembering right, he did a huge thing on the GeForce FX, including like all the weird versions of the FX 5200 that are out there. I believe it was Nathan. Sometimes I get Nathan and Phil's videos confused because they're both very detailed when they go through their graphics card stuff. but I think it was Pixel Pipes. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember, because there's so many, so many variations of the 5500, 5300, 5200. It's just so many. I do have a 5200 Ultra, which I think is what I had back in the day. Because, you know, you read the reviews of the cards, and it's like, well, the only one that's worth buying is the 5200 Ultra. Because the regular 5200 is too slow. And I think that was the one I had back in the day. It was still not a fast graphics card. Just, you know, to be clear, it was not a fast graphics card. But it was very feature complete. Very compatible. And I liked it. I was a PC gamer pleb, and I was fine with it. It was great. It meant I could play games. It's what I've said for a long time. Like, the whole idea is play games. I should probably set this clock before I get this installed. Date time. Needs to be sometime after October, I think, 2007. Let's make it November. Is it any coincidence that I changed the date and that installer finished? I often wonder if installers just have, like, wait 30 seconds, loops in them. You can make all your installers go faster if you just jump the date and time forward. Hopefully I didn't just destroy the installer by changing the date. Let's see what Task Manager says. Doing some kind of left hand, it's bad. Oh, it looks like it's not doing anything. I think I broke the installer. Whoopsies. Don't change the date while you're installing something. Oopsies. There isn't like a hidden dialogue? No, there's no hidden dialogue box. Oops. Oh, see you later, Color John. Have a good one. I'll see you at the thing that you're going to in a little while. Catch you later. Yeah, Blake DMC says, who here is still mad at Epic Games for getting rid of all their UT games from most of their storefronts? Yeah, it sucks. Epic is going down a very dark path right now. They have decided that they're going to be the champions of the metaverse. And it's a bad idea. And apparently no one can see that, or at least no one in charge of Epic can see that. It's not a great idea. The whole concept of a metaverse was a great idea like 20 years ago. And nowadays it's entirely toxic, poison well. Do not do it. It's a bad idea. Epic, please stop. You're a games company, just make games. For the love of all that's holy, please just make games. Alright. No more changing the date on the installer this time. How weird, the physics engine didn't like it when I changed the time. Francois says, anyone need a Norton Antivirus 2004? New in box with receipt? For Windows XP, you might need it. It's true. Yeah, Everything's Broken Garage says they're going to start charging for all Unreal Engine usage. Yeah, the days of virtual production for free is coming to a rapid end. A rapid end. Womp womp. Yeah, Unreal Engine was a really powerful virtual production tool, and like I was even thinking of trying it, you know, because I have a bunch of VR gear. I could always put a tracker on a camera and put a TV behind me and like move the camera around and have the view outside the TV, the view outside on the TV, like move around with it. I always thought it'd be kind of cool. Not happening now. So much for that. Alright, let's go. Yes, install. Yeah, Unreal Tournament, or Unreal Engine as a service, yeah. It's, for whatever reason, Tim saw what happened to Unity and said, hey, that's a great idea. Tim has lost the plot. Uh-oh. Is this just gonna not install? I wonder if it's trying to get to the internet. What did it say we plug it in? Connecting Windows XP to the internet. It's more likely than you think. See what happens. Blake DMZ says CryEngine might be our only hope. God, I hope not. Ugh. I don't think that's a coincidence. Plugging it into the network and now the install continues. I don't think that was a coincidence. Nathan, hello. Pixel Pipes, welcome to the stream. We are in the second half. We're nearing the end. I thought I had Unreal Tournament 2003 demo installed around here. Turns out I have Unreal Tournament 3 on here, so I've reset the date and time on this machine to 2007, so hopefully the demo will run. But we started the stream off looking at this little beastie here, which is socket 479 Pentium-M, running 1.8 gigahertz with a lovely brown AGP slot. GPU for the day is my GeForce 6800 GS. That is, of course, you know this NV40. It is the binned version of NV40, so it's 12 shaders instead of 16. I have not tried doing a shader unlock on it yet. I'm guessing for the amount of money I paid for it, the previous owner tried it and it didn't work, and that's why I got it for the price I got it. But I'm not sure. I haven't tried it. We're at the 2-hour mark, but I wanted to run a little Unreal Tournament, honestly 2003 on this, but we're going to run some Unreal Tournament 3 on here. We are going to go back to the 479 because I have a treat for it. That is this little guy here, which is, I think, the fastest CPU that board will run, because it's an Intel 855GE chipset, I think. And the fastest CPU it'll run is Dothan 400 megahertz frontside bus. And it's this one at 2.1 gigahertz. So that's going to be the end of the stream. So once we do a little Unreal Tournament on this thing, I'll pop back over to the 479. We can take another look at it. The takeaway from 479 is it's fast and it's loud. This is an industrial board, and clearly the folks who wrote the BIOS for this were like, what's fan control? What's a temperature controlled fan? Let's just run it at 100% all the time. And this fan is not small. You can see it's got a pretty aggressive blade angle on there. It makes a lot of noise. Makes a lot of noise. So I've got a fan current limiting resistor that's currently quieting down this fan here on the 754, and it will make its way back over to the Pentium-M once we go back there. Oh, also, new test benches. This is new test bench design. Uses a third of the material, takes a third of the time to print. Basically just clamps onto a power supply on the bottom. It's for everybody who runs their test benches in horizontal mode, which from all the pictures I've seen online of people using them, everyone does. Everyone apparently other than me and Gutbomb. So, there we go. We've got the Unreal Tournament 3 demo. Play it. Let's go. 6800 GS. Yeah, everything's broken grass as it was looking for the network stack. It totally was. It was just, the installer would just hang there until I plugged in the network cable. Sometimes you gotta live dangerously. Take your Windows XP machine online. Lots of extreme video game logos. Alright. What is this stuck on? Oh. It's stuck on the server motherboard down here. Don't mind that. It's definitely not going to be a future video. There we go. Okay, get my mouse and keyboard arranged here. Unreal to oh no. Play offline. There we go. Let's see if this works. There we go. Believe me, you are not going to find your game servers. Oh, let's see. Let's try instant action. Let's see if we can run a quick vehicle capture the flag. Yes. Bot skill level, so we've got a 12-player game, 11 opponents. Sure. Let's go. Okay, so apparently, yeah, it's me and Gutbomb and Nathan, apparently. We all run our test benches vertical. Like, I pointed this out earlier, but I'm running a test bench over here. Like, that's my 3080. That's my 5600X3D. Like, in a test bench, running vertically. Because, I don't know, I like it. I designed it to run vertically, so I run mine vertically. But, like, most of the pictures I got back from folks, they run them horizontally, like traditional test benches. Alright. I cannot see a thing because I turned the brightness down. Let's turn the brightness back up. Come on. Go faster. There we go. Okay. Look at that, we can see stuff now. Can I get in this? Yes, I can. Oh, that's more like it. Where's the down? That's not down. Where's down? Z, C. There we go. Crouch is C. Why is C crouch? We moved on from control being crouch, and that was just bad. It's a bad decision. Collectively made. Ah. Gotta love that that Unreal Engine 3 crunchy pixels look, right? Oh yeah, lots of bloom, and real crunchy pixels. I don't know what it was about Unreal Engine 3, but jeez. It was like this and like Arkham Knight. Jeez, just like, oh boy. Yep, that's a tank. Not lasting long against a tank. What do we, is that, yeah, so we've got like a light leak in there. That's nice. I don't even know if that's even a shadow map. I bet that's just vertex lighting. We've got detail textures and vertex lighting and bump mapping. Like it's an eclectic mix of features going on here. Oh, this is the best weapon. This is the best weapon. Go try and murder some fools with this. The flak cannon is the best weapon. That is a cinematic 23 FPS getting on the bridge here. Coming after me with the vehicle? Yeah, I think so. You're gonna ignore me and my flak cannon. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna strut my way over to your base. That's a bad idea. Oh, we've got the dodge. Get the side-to-side dodge. Nice. Let's see. All of my bots have taken my vehicles. I can't run anything. Oh, hello. That looks like someone's left a present for me. Get out of there. Give me this. Oh, for crying out loud. Take this. What? Two players. It requires two players to use that. Okay, that's more like it. That's like the UK, the UT 2K3 tank, 2K4 tank. That's more like it. Let's go wreck some people. Okay, if you want to fall off there, that's fine. I have a tank. Ha 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 ha. You have a tank. Well, now it's a fight. I should probably get out of this before it blows up, huh? Darn, made it pretty far. Alright, so that is Unreal Tournament 3 in all of its blue malicious glory. Can't Alt F4 out of here? Of course not. Main menu. Yes. Yes, really. Okay. That would be pretty good. Charlotte Thorne says, I keep meaning to try out Battlefield 1942 64-player bot matches as a CPU stress test. That'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good. Exit. Exit game. Buy now. Sorry, you're not for sale anymore. Let's turn this puppy off. Yes, really. Okay, let's switch camera angles, and let's upgrade that socket 479. Okay, so, GPU, let's get the VG out of there, and get the sound card out of there. You can just hang out right here. Stay. GPU. Beautiful GPU. And IDE. Come on, get out of there. Mouse, keyboard, LAN, which I'm not going to plug back in. I'm inclined to not. Well, I guess if we're going to take a look at UT3, I'm going to have to. Stay. Let's just put that in there for the moment. Okay, so turn off the power supply. The best part is that I lose my screwdriver constantly. Well, we'll just make a screwdriver. Best part, IMO, of the new test benches is loosen that screw, loosen that screw, boom, done. I love it. Installation is the reverse. That's it. You can see it locates into the PSU with these two. And you just tighten down the screws. I love it. This idea came to me in in a like migraine-riddled fugue state. Like, I can use the power supply as a stressed member of the case. Ah. Sometimes, you know, you just have to get down with the sickness. It's going to be interesting with Unreal Tournament 3, because these are the Ethernet controllers, 1, 2, 3, and I don't know what they are, because there's heat sinks on them. The heat sinks are glued on. I think they're Realtek, but I'm not sure. And I installed a driver for Realtek, what's probably the most likely thing for them to be, and it didn't see them, so I don't know what they are. If push comes to shove, I've got a PCI network adapter that should have drivers in XP, so probably not stuck. Oh, right. The whole reason for doing this. Let's get this cooler off of here. And let's upgrade that CPU. Yeah, upgrade that CPU. I did not bring any paper towel. That was dumb. Hang on a sec. I got a paper towel right over here. All right. Using a little Arctic MX4 today. Oh, it's not focusing on me. Come on. You got this. There you go. Look at how little a socket is. That's so cute. So this wee beastie, if I can get it to focus on this. Come on. Come on. Camera. Camera. Oh, it thought it might need to refocus. It's hard because the reflection in the die is in perfect focus. Come on. Ah, it's not going to do it. This is a SL7V3 stepping, and or S spec. It is a Pentium-M 765, 2.1 gigahertz, 2 megs of L2 or L3, and 400 megahertz frontside bus. That's going to go on like that. Bingo. Bingo. So the cooler's got little dots on it to keep it from like crushing the edge of the die. Who remembers that problem? Very specific problem created by AMD and Intel for a very short amount of time. We decided that direct die cooling was the best idea, and then it was terrible, and we stopped doing it again. Wipe off this this CPU as well. Oh, there's so much on it. Ugh. MX4. Gets everywhere. Amber taken out of context. Oh, there's so much, it gets everywhere. Really need a Q-tip to do this nicely, but this is working okay. Working okay. Get that dye nice and shiny again. Beautiful. Much better. Okay. Just throw a little Arctic MX4 on there. As I have said before, the thermal conductivity of thermal paste, it's not very good, but it's better than air. Okay. Knew that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen. Blasted clips. Ugh. I hate these so much. Alright, you. Oh, these are the worst. No, it's alright. You're allowed to laugh. It's part of the Socket 479 charm. It inherited all the worst designs of 478, like the cooler mounting system. I hate it. It's terrible. Alright, try this again. Not putting on fresh paste, it'll be fine. Okay. Try this one more time. God-awful CPU retention system. Alright, come on. There we go. There we go. That's more like it. Ugh. At least it didn't take any skin off. It's not actually any better than push pins, in my opinion anyway. It's another one of those things that AMD seems to have figured out, and just like, they've just kind of stuck with this, like, this twin post, you know, cooler design. It's because this is like, I don't know, socket AM2 cooler, AM4 cooler. It's fairly modern. Works just fine on 754. While Intel's coolers have just been awful for forever. Forever and ever. Okay. Power supply power is off. Let's put that graphics card in. We're gonna do this. I should probably go get that network card, because I'm guessing I'm gonna need it. VGA. Sound card. Which goes way in there. All the way at the end. Switch the card. ready to go. Let's flip over the screen. What did I forget? It's not happy. I don't think it can run this processor. That's in, that's in. I wonder. I don't think it can run this processor. That's not a bad idea. Pixelpipe says reset CMOS. That's not a terrible idea. Now. Oh, where the heck CMOS reset is on this board? I have no idea. Let's try and take the battery out, I guess. Oh, that is the worst. The worst battery carrier. Needs 3 fingers to get the battery out. That looks like that is a no-go. I haven't tested this. So the CPU is theoretically the fastest that this board can handle, but theoretically as fast as the chipset can handle. The board itself might not be able to. That's my guess. That is my guess. Let's take the CPU retention system from hell off of there. And let's, just to make sure I didn't cook the board, switch back to the 1.8 real quick. Just want to check and see if this works. I'm going to leave the goop that's on there. Just want to see if this works. You gonna go on there? Come on. Ah, I hate these. There we go. It's off center just a little bit. That's why I wasn't going in. Alright, let's see. Oh, right. Turn the power supply on. Looks like it doesn't like doesn't like that processor. Well, that's a bummer. I really wanted to see how much fight that Pentium 3 had in it. 2.1 gigahertz Pentium-M had the potential to be quite quick. And I don't know if it's the board or if it's this CPU. I have no idea. The CPU seems fine. Like as far as like shipping damage, it's undamaged. Oh, I'm trying to think if I have any other boards I could test this in even. I don't think I do. I might have to rectify that. That is unfortunate. Bummer, bummer, bummer. But, if you wanted to see what the Pentium-M can do, now's the time. Throw this battery back in here. I don't short it out on something else on the board. Jeez. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just leave it alone. There. Not screw with things while they're turned on. Blast in. Alright. Unfortunately, looks like the Athlon 2.1 not gonna fly in this. But turn down this brightness again. There you go. Pentium-M 745, 1.8 gigahertz, and 2 megs of level 2 cache. Yeah, so like SpeedSys, I don't know what SpeedSys was reporting, but it seemed to think there were 3 megs of level 3 cache on this thing, or like 3 megs of total cache. I do not know where it was getting that number. Not a single clue. Not a single clue. But yeah, it's got built-in graphics. There you go. If you wanted to know what motherboard this is the Contron 886 LCD-M/Flex. It's a product name that gives modern product names a run for their money. That is an i855 GME chipset. I don't know. Pixelpipes asks if this board ever got an updated BIOS, and I don't know. Being an industrial board, I'm not going to hold my breath about it having an updated BIOS. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but let's do a little investigation. So if we reboot into the BIOS, see what version number it is. There we go. We've got a BIOS version string. If I pop this open, Contron 886 LCD-M/Flex. That's why the motherboard, okay, well that's why my LAN drivers didn't work for it. It's triple gigabit. No wonder it has heat sinks on the Ethernet. Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. Welcome to the stream, Joe. Joe says, I'm going to try and replace my monitors while the system is up. This'll be fun. Good luck. Up to 2 gigs of... Oh, this will support up to apparently DDR3 or DDR1 333. I think we're running... I don't think we're running 333 in this. I think this is running 266. I'm pretty sure. I've got some DDR 333 sitting around here. It was not that far off of the Athlon in terms of performance, so that might be what it needs to push it over the edge, even without the faster CPU. BIOS. What version? That can't be right. It says the newest BIOS version was released April 20th, 2023. No way. No, what? Oh, no. That must be a creation date on their back end, because the next BIOS file down says June 30th, 2008. That makes more sense. That April 2023 date has to be a date that's leaking in from their back end. So we've got 2 BIOS options from 2008 at some point. BIOS version 3.7 and BIOS version 50. What are we running on here? This is BIOS version 8. These don't make any sense. None of these BIOS versions make any sense at all. Ah, that's right, April 20th. Yeah, it is. They've released it 420. Yeah, no, that's definitely, that's an oopsie. That's not a real thing. What the heck version BIOS does this have on it? 8.00.10. But that's a build date of September 19th, 2008. Is that... That seems like it's newer than what's on the website. Because they've got BIOS... This says BIOS 5.0, so that's version 5.0. And it's gotta be... Like, the previous version of the BIOS was June 30th, 2008, and this one's a build date of September 19th, 2008. So... That's gotta be, like... Oh, excuse me. Speedy all of a sudden. They've got Ethernet drivers for the 3 onboard Ethernets. Including drivers for NT4, if you want to run this in Windows NT4. And Novell NetWare. Version 4, 5, or 6. Wow. Wow, wow. Okay, well, I think this is running the newest version of the BIOS. I'm pretty sure. I should probably dump it, though, and get it onto the retro web. Make sure that they've got a copy of it. But I'm pretty sure it's the newest version of the BIOS. I wonder if they list what processors are officially compatible. I can't imagine it's super up-to-date. Why would they care? Like, it's an embedded board. Why would they care about the newest versions of the Pentium-M? That is just that's a sales blurb. That's not, Manual. Well, there's a revision on the manual from August 2008 that says CPU list updated. So let's see if there's a CPU list in here. It's my find interface. There it is. And this says it supports BANIAS. Wasn't BANIAS the die shrink? I thought Dothan was the original and BANIAS was the die shrink. No! Okay, well there's my problem. Because I'm pretty sure, well... I am not totally sure. Let's see what Wikipedia says. For a list of Pentium-M processors, BANIAS. Pentium-M 1.8 should have 1 meg of level 2 cache, if it were a BANIAS. Dothan has 2 megs, so both of these things are Dothan, which aren't officially supported by the board. Huh. Well then. I guess I have a different processor to go track down. What is the fastest BANIAS? Oh, the fastest BANIAS is 1.8. I wonder if that's the problem, is the multiplier. I wonder. Well, I think that's about all we're gonna get out of the Pentium-M board. Nathan, you joined late. Do you want to say anything interesting on it? What do we got? Charlotte Thorne says the parrot is judging the socket appropriately. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Both of these motherboards. Get Garth Beagle's sus parrot. Let's see. Joe's Computer Museum. Got bomb find BIOS. 3.7 sounds less weird. Meat City says Spectre fixes. Yeah, I think they probably migrated their storage backend, and then that, whenever they did that, which is probably April, that create date is just leaking through to the front end. That's my guess. I think all those things are from 08. Oh, Joe, no, Museum Joe. I got all this stuff apart and I realized I didn't have the correct video cables. ADHD sucks. It does. It does. It sucks so much. Nathan asks, did you get UT3 to work on this platform? We haven't tried it. Because I don't have drivers for it. But I can fix that. now that I know what this is, and also that I found that the website itself has drivers for it, let me grab the drivers quick. We'll run UT3 on it. I gotta turn this off. And then, Windows. Turn this off. There we go. Sometimes Windows listens to me. Sometimes. And I can grab this card out of here. Okay. Let's see. Got write access to the card, that's good. Let's grab new window, Contron. Yes, previous search. Triple gigabit. Jeez. This thing must have been some kind of like network, maybe like intrusion detection, or maybe it was like a LAN like quality sniffer, like you'd use it to make sure that your LAN is routing packets efficiently or something. Like triple gigabit. Download file. The page you requested is not available. Aww. Well, what did they say the driver is? It is RTL 8169. Windows. If I can spell Windows correctly, Windows XP. Realtek.cz. I love this website. That looks like the right one. Let's double check it here quick. It's just a bunch of DLLs and an inf. I suppose I can try it. I would really love an installer for it though. Let's see. Microsoft Update has a driver for it. It's tough to get the Windows driver, the Windows Update driver for it if I can't connect to Windows Update. It's difficult. CNETdownload.com has a driver for it. From ECS. Alright, I'll give it a try. That looks like it's an actual installer. Let's double check. 7-zip open archive. Novell drivers. Win98 drivers for it. Man, this would make a killer Windows 98 system. WinXP. DLLs in an inf file. There is a setup.exe though, so let's give it a try. What's the worst that can happen? Get a virus on it. Oh well, just nuke the SD card, who cares? Alright. Eject. And away we go. Ryzen 9 3900 XT says, "Speed sys one more time." Well, we will. I'll get UT running on here, then we'll do speed sys one more time, just for you. I love speed sys too. It's okay. Okay, so there's driver and there's driver. That's the one that supposedly comes from ECS, so I'm gonna extract this one. Have a good one, Francois. Have a good night. Good to see ya. Alright, let's see if... That looks like a pretty XP era installer. Hey, look at that. Real tech. I will reboot my computer. Show me triple gigabit. I don't think... PCI can't even do gigabit, can it? Like, doesn't PCI 32-bit, 33 megahertz, doesn't it top out at like 500 megabytes per second? Hmm. When I got this board, there was a sticker over the AGP slot, and it was just like, I don't even remember what it said, but there was like a sticker over it to like, don't plug things into this, kind of a sticker. Wouldn't it be wild if they put one of these on the AGP bus? I'm not seeing a not connected to network symbol down there in the system tray, so I don't know. I don't know how likely that is to be working. Why doesn't even see him? I wonder if they're not turned on in the BIOS. Hang on. Let's check that BIOS one more time. I wonder if it's not even turned on in the BIOS. If the network, it's got 3 network ports and they're all turned off. What was this thing used as? The BIOS, the big BIOS splash screen says Constellation Vision Systems. Like, was this just like a display? They just run a display? I don't know. Why would you run LAN configuration? One of them is disabled. None of them have MAC addresses. That's weird. We'll turn on PXE on that one and see what it does. It should just like ping for net boot at start, but it shouldn't do anything. I wonder if they don't initialize unless they have something plugged into them. Constellation Vision Systems. 32-bit PCI is only 133 megabytes per second. Okay, so it could technically get to gigabit speeds, right? Because that's like 125 megabytes per second. So you could technically get full throughput on one of the 3. If you're very lucky. I'm not seeing these things show up. Okay, give me one sec. I've got I have a PCI and Intel PCI network adapter that should work. Shouldn't need a driver. Actually, you know what? I have a PCI 3-com adapter that should work without a driver. Look at that. 3Com parallel tasking. Windows. Listen to my power button. Thank you. This is the famous 3Com 3C905. Classic 10100 Ethernet controller. Okay, let's plug it. Where did my network go? Come back to me. There we go. Okay. It's not precarious at all. It's fine. It's fine. Who wants to see there's the Ethernet card. Right up there. Let's see if this works. The 905C has been around for ages and ages. At least at the time Windows XP was released, like, the 905 was a bread and butter Ethernet controller. So this should just work. Can we search Windows Update? Well, you're going to have a hard time searching Windows Update for it. And nope, there's no driver for it. Blast. Okay, fine. I will find a driver. 3Com 905B PCI Windows XP. Let's see. Can I get the driver without downloading a virus? Gotta do a CAPTCHA. Nice. Come on, just give me the driver. Thank you. Okay. Let's power up. That's not what I want to do. Nope. Can I just kill my stream? No. No, we're still here. Good. I accidentally ran the AverMedia software because it's right next to OBS Studio. Fortunately, more than one application at a time can use the Live Gamer. Whew. My Elgato did not work that way. If I ran Elgato software while I was running OBS, it would crash OBS. Come on. Riveting. This is riveting streaming, I know. As I try to get my card reader to work and actually, like, pull the card, let me write to it. Come on. I need a new card reader. Come on. There we go. Okay. Good lord. 3Com driver on there. And eject. Always something. I want to know what this was in its previous life. Has anybody Googled Alcon Constellation Vision Systems? What was this thing? Did this like run an MRI machine? Was this just an embedded enterprise display controller? This is gonna spew files all over my desktop, isn't it? It sure is. Let's throw this in a folder first. Yep, I was so right. So right. Volume setup, pre-install. I don't think this is gonna work. Windows for Workgroups 3.11. NT4 9X, come on. That's not gonna work. This is the wrong... blast. I really thought this would be a driverless install. I have more PCI network cards. I wonder if I just plug this in to one of the several network adapters on the back. What happens if I reboot now? Does it see it? Joe says, got a Realtek 8139. I think I probably do. I know I have an Intel something on a PCI. I think it might be a little too new for XP, but I'm pretty sure I've got an 8139. Found new hardware, Ethernet controller. Do these not show up unless they're plugged in? Are we about to get Ethernet? I think I'm being too helpful. Let me grab my... Find any driver for the OS that uses the same chipset. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been doing. The board may have been part of an NVR for security. Yeah, it's possible. Let me grab a different PCI network card. One sec. Oh, I think it's smaller than the stand I keep it in, but there's my 8139. It's so little. 8139D. Bummer, bummer, bummer. So is that, were you Googling it? Is that why you think it was part of a network video recorder? Constellation Vision System. Maybe it was. At least this one has a MAC address. Skip. Hopefully, XP's got drivers for it. Nothing, no drivers. This is riveting. Riveting streaming. Who knew I would be thwarted by the 3 network controllers on the motherboard that don't work. It's a Windows Update cab file that has Realtek 8139 drivers in it. CNET says that they have it. Release date August 26, 2008. Should work for Windows XP. So Server 2003, so... Oh, hopefully. Let's go. I have no idea if that actually did what I wanted it to. Probably not. It has been ignoring my button presses. Yep, it ignored it. Turn off. There you go. I gotta move the mouse first, then hit the power button, and then it'll turn off. So weird. Okay. It's the fourth time? Fourth time's a charm? I'm so sad about my 3 comms. I love my 3-com Ethernet adapters. They're so nice. But they don't work. They don't work in anything because they're too old. Come on. Give me write access to the drive. There we go. Okay. So that should be in desktop. It is. That is both of them. Okay. And this is exe RT flash patch. That's a ROM updater for the RTL 8139. CNET, what are you doing? Blasted. I'm glad I checked. Oh, don't worry. It's all right. I didn't think I didn't think I didn't think I would be able to use any of the 3 network adapters that are on this motherboard. I thought for sure they would work. They appear to not. It's just kind of bizarre to me that they don't. But like they don't, not just that they don't, but like they don't even show up in like the device manager, which is the weirdest part. I've also got a driver for those internal Ethernets. I'll see if that works as well. So, eject. Okay. Riveting streaming. I want to see this thing run. I want to know if it gets more than a cinematic 24-25 FPS over the bridge in UT3. I'm curious now. I need to know. I don't know if the, I'll be honest, I don't know if the Intel, if there's a built-in Intel NIC, because it's an 855. I don't remember if that builds in a NIC, but I don't know if that's even enabled on this board, if it does exist, because there are 3 Realtek chips on the board with little heatsinks on them, which are clearly 8169s. For the 3 Ethernet ports on the back of the machine. It is a wild motherboard. Okay, so this is going to be the 8139 driver. This looks like it's from Dell. Yep, that is from Dell. This should work, I hope. All files are finished. Okay, and it runs the installer. Excellent. Come on. Give me Ethernet. Finish. I saw Ethernet for a moment. I saw it for a moment. Why did it go away? It's like this machine doesn't want to be on the internet. It refuses. What is your issue, you weird computer? It at least sees it. Oh, it just hides when it's fine. Okay, thanks. Well, let's run some UT on this thing. Date time. You're gonna be 2007 and October. No, November, that's right, we did November on the other one. Yes, I have the Crisis installer on here. We can see if it runs Crisis. Oh, yeah, the Intel PCI LAN that I have somewhere. Somewhere. It would probably work, yeah. I think there's probably drivers built into Windows XP for that. But I don't know where I put that thing. I need to inventory my stuff. It's so bad. I have so much junk. I just need to inventory it and store it. Ah. Apologies. Sleepy. I'm so sad that my 3-coms don't work. I ran a 3-com Etherlink, like the ISA version of this, the really old one, the 10 megabit, in my 486 for years and years. And then I moved it over to my Pentium. Because it worked great, Windows 95, Windows 98. And then 3-com just kind of like evaporated. Sadly. I have fond memories of 3-com Ethernet adapters, probably for no good reason. The world moved on, and moved on to Realtek. It's been long enough that I don't remember what the Athlon 64 got in Expendable. So I have the results for it over here. While this sits and installs. 181. I want to say that the Athlon 64 was close. Like 187? I don't think it was a whole lot more than that. Surprisingly, when you're running at 1024 by 768 with anti-aliasing turned on, it's mostly GPU bound, surprisingly. Meat City says we all have attachments like that. S3 Verges do it for me because they were so plentiful. They were always my go-to for second monitors back in the day. That's a pretty good use for an S3 Verge, honestly. It's about the only good use for an S3 Verge. Oh, the family computer at my parents' house when I was a kid had an S3 Verge in it, and it was a 2 megabyte S3 Verge, so like Verge already doesn't run a whole lot as far as 3D, and when you only have 2 megs of texture RAM, it really doesn't run a lot. Most of your VRAM is held up by frame buffer at that point, and that thing, that thing was bad. Boy, oh boy. Good old Verge. I'll tell you though, what a card I wish I had. A card I wish I had. Because I have a Savage 4. I have a number 9 version of the Savage 4, so Savage 4 LT. But that's a pretty nice card. Like it's obvious why it didn't do well. Like the S3 name, and it came out in 1998, offering slightly faster than Voodoo 1 performance. But the it's pretty smooth, pretty performant. The drivers seem fairly well optimized when they don't crash. What I'd love to get my hands on is a Savage 2000. That'd be really cool. An S3 Savage 2000. Yup. Pixelvibe says, "Oh god, I completely forgot that this game supports Aegea Physics." Yes! I don't know, maybe this installer just pauses here for an unknown amount of time. Because it's got network access at this point. Ooh. Excuse me. I'm gonna open my network stuff. Where's my network adapters? Network internet connections. Network connections. Yeah, it's just the one. It's just the one. Come on. There we go. Jeez, that took a while. Yeah. Yeah, when you had a standalone card to do your physics calculations. It was going to be the next big thing. Physics processing unit. The thing that blows me away with Unreal Tournament 3, the demo installer, is you see how big this installer is. Like this is a heavy game. And they time lock this, I think it was to like 3 months after release. And it would stop working. Something like 6 months. And they wonder why Unreal Tournament 3 didn't do very well. Like, nobody could play it. Like, you released a demo for a game that was essentially unplayable on most people's computers, and then you time-locked the demo to this ridiculously short period of time to try and sell copies of it. And guess what? Nobody can play it. Nobody's gonna play it. Has Tim Sweeney ever made good business decisions? Same, honestly. Nathan says, I kind of always intended to buy an Aegea physics card, but I never got around to it. Same. I really wanted to get one too, because they always just seemed kind of cool. Of course, you know, then Nvidia bought them, rolled them into their cards, and the rest, as they say, is history. I tried the PhysX demos back in the day. They always looked cool. Blake DMC says, I think Tim was better before 2005. I think you're right. I think you're right. Something infected his brain. I think it's called money. Alright. Let's see this run on the Pentium-M. How often do you get a chance to run a laptop chip with a desktop GPU? I mean, come on. Oh yeah, let's turn up the brightness. This is gonna be bad. So many extreme gaming logos. My God. Play offline. Okay. Settings. Video. We were doing 1024 by 768. Right? I think. Maybe we weren't. I don't remember. I wonder if I was just running it at the default resolution. Oh well. Oh. Instant action! Give me that vehicle CTF. Come on. Yes, suspense. All the settings are the same. Start game. Yes, oh my god, do it. You know, yeah, I don't think I went and changed the resolution on this, now that you say it. What if it gets the same frame rate? That looks pretty awful. Give me that tank. Oh. Well, would you look at that? Same frame rate. I don't think it actually set the resolution. This doesn't look like 1024 by 768. Right? You can see how chunky those pixels are? I don't think this is 1024 by 768. Oh. That's pathetic. That does not shoot very far. But that, yes, give me this. Give me this. There we go. So rounding the corner, we were at like, what, 24, 25 FPS? Ow. Yeah, 30, 35, 36. Oh geez, that tank's awake. Ah! It does indeed appear to run better on here, but I'm not sure if the resolution is the same. Let's see, settings. Advanced. There we go. Video. Supposedly 1024 by 768. What if I put it to 800 by 600? Does it matter? Was it actually CPU bound? That's definitely chunky looking. let this thing reload all of its textures. There we go. Round the corner. The frame rate's worse. There we go, now we're back to 25 FPS. The frame rate is worse at lower resolution. I think it's just because there's more stuff happening right now. Sure looks like that's a lower resolution than 800 by 600, doesn't it? I don't think there's anybody in that. Doesn't that seem to be? Like that looks like, it looks like it's half res. It looks like it's 400 by 300. Oh yeah, uh-huh, you got your tank, I see. Oh, let me get my tank stuck. Don't you hate it when that happens? You get your tank stuck. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's up with the graphic settings. 'Cause like what if I go to 1152 by 864? Let's go up in resolution. What happens? Yeah, yeah. Meat City is saying like the mini map looks like 800 by 600, but the 3D doesn't. Yeah, it totally. It looks like it's running at half res. Let's let this thing load in all of its textures again. Now we're at like 29, 30 FPS. It's acting very strange. Very strange. But there doesn't seem to be any settings for that, like in the video settings. You have your resolution, and that's it. Post-processing, muted, default, vivid, intense. Not like double resolution or half resolution. It's very strange. Anyway, that is Unreal Tournament 3. Go to the main menu. It has been 3.5 hours, y'all. Long stream. Fun. Long. I'm hungry. I need some dinner. So, Ryzen 9 3950X, if you're still on here, I promised you to run SpeedSys one last time. I will do that. Absolutely. We turn down brightness. There we go. And Yeah, for real, right? At 1.8 gigahertz, it's pretty strong. Like there's some, I think for anything that doesn't touch that level 2 cache, because we've got 4 times the cache in Dothan, with 2 megs versus half a meg. I think for anything that doesn't touch the cache, it's faster on the Athlon, but that that 2 megs of cache is nothing to sneeze at. It's like not like we didn't know, you know. Now that I think about it, like what games run the best on 3D cache Ryzen processors? Unreal Engine games. Why wouldn't the Unreal Engine 3 game run faster on a CPU with 4 times the cache? It's the same patterns repeating forever, back in time forever. My button is dying. I have to redo my button. Blake DMC asks, do you wish Crysis 4 would come out and wreck even an RTX 4090? No! Well, I mean, honestly, I don't care. I don't play Crysis, so, like, it would be kind of funny to, like, you know, popcorn watch people, like, get really upset about it. It'd be kind of funny. But, like, I don't care. You know, I ran Starfield on all those old graphics cards, and like it's Starfield. It's perfectly playable on something older. People are just mad that they can't get their 60 FPS by pulling all the sliders to the right. So it does make me wonder though, like what if I put faster RAM in this? If this supports up to DDR333, you know, I've got DDR, I think 266 in here. If I threw some faster RAM in this thing, how much performance can we see out of it? What if I tracked down like a 2 gigahertz Dothan? Would that work in this board instead of the 2.1? Maybe it can't do a 21x multiplier. I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts about this board. It's cool. I didn't think this would be as cool as it is. It's very neat. I like it a lot. But there you go. SpeedSys. 1590 Ti. Alright, y'all. I'm so glad y'all joined me. It's been a heck of a stream. For one last thing, let's run Quake at 640 by 480 on the Dothan. Oh, it's dark, that's right. Stupid brightness. Hang on, we'll do it more than once, because I want y'all to see it. There we go. Gotta really boost that brightness. Yeah, maybe. I think if the board can run it, I think a 2 gigahertz Dothan would be pretty badass. That'd be a fast chip. I also want to track down, there are Athlon 64s that have 1 meg of level 2 cache instead of a half a meg. 4 suck at 754. I want to track one of those down as well. Maybe, yeah, we can have a rematch. Okay, so let's run that one more time. This is original Quake in DOS. 640 by 480, y'all. 640 by 480. This is the reason this is going to be so slow is because most video cards have really bad VESA BIOS extension support. This doesn't. I wonder if FastVid will work on this. Let me try FastVid real quick. Nope. Okay. Let's see if it works. Fast vid doesn't usually, but let's try it. So, quick 640 by 480 instead of 320 by 240. Yo! Yeah, fast vid! That's the stuff. 126 FPS, did you see that? Let's go to the start map. Plus M look. Look at that! Look at that! That is silky smooth Quake. Haha! This thing's fantastic. That is Quake the way it was meant to be played. Big chunky pixels and nice sharp edges. Oh yeah. The controls are not set up on this, so like I don't have a run, I don't have strafe, but look at that. Oh, that's so nice. I'm so used to high resolution Quake running terribly because of bad VESA BIOS extensions. Oh, this is so good. Glorious. I love this little thing. I wonder if I can find a 2 GHz CPU for it that'll work. So there isn't one for Banias. Banias tops out at 1.8, which makes me wonder if like 1.8 Dothan is the best this board will do. It does make me wonder. Look at that! That is some smooth original Quake. 640 by 480. Oh, that's so good. Alright, there we go. It's been a wonderful stream. Glad to have you all here. Oh no, I just moved the display around. It's been a good time. So let me say goodbye real quick. And also do note the new social media link over on Mastodon. I've moved over to Action Retro's server, so you can find me on Bitbang, bitbang.social/@Shira. So let's say a big goodbye, because it's been a good stream. 3.5 hours looking at some cool vintage motherboards. I'm hoping this is going to be the first part of a series called Misfit Motherboards, where I just look at some systems that I think are maybe rare or uncommon or just weird, or just things that I like. In one case we've got rare in the case of the 479, and things that I just like in the case of the Socket 754. So, I hope you all had fun. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening, and as always, may the PC parts be ever in your favor. Have a great night. It's the wrong mouse. Have a great night.